Meta description. What truly happens behind the thunderous applause that follows every performance by Jungkook? Is the world celebrating a flawless idol, or is there a deeper story hidden behind the spotlight that few people ever pause long enough to see? Behind the world's applause, the story no one ever sees. Have you ever wondered what happens after the music fades, after the stadium lights dim, and after millions of voices that once screamed a name slowly disappear into silence? When the crowd goes home and the stage becomes empty again, what remains for the person who stood at the center of it all? Is the life of a global idol really as bright and perfect as it appears from the outside? Or is there a quieter reality hidden behind the roaring applause that the world rarely notices? Before you continue reading, take a moment to think about this question. When the world claps, cheers, and celebrates someone like Jungkook, are they truly celebrating the person, or are they celebrating the image they believe they see? And if there is a difference between those two things, how many people actually stop to look beyond the image? If this story makes you curious, if it makes you wonder what lies beyond the dazzling lights of fame, stay with this narrative until the end. Share your thoughts, leave a comment, and continue the conversation about the deeper reality behind one of the most recognized names in modern music. For millions of people across the globe, Jungkook represents talent, passion, and relentless dedication. As one of the most recognizable members of BTS, his performances have become legendary among fans who admire his voice, his movement, and the powerful presence he brings to every stage. To the world watching from afar, he appears fearless, energetic, and endlessly capable. But behind every moment of applause lies a story that unfolds away from cameras. T is a story about effort, pressure, expectations, and the quiet human moments that rarely become headlines. The global success of BTS transformed the landscape of modern music. Songs crossed language barriers, concerts filled stadiums across continents, and the group became a symbol of cultural influence far beyond the boundaries of the entertainment industry. Within that extraordinary rise stood Jungkook, a young performer whose dedication and versatility quickly made him one of the most admired figures in the group. The audience saw the performances clearly. They saw the flawless choreography, the confident vocals, and the charismatic energy that filled arenas with excitement. Applause followed every song like a wave that refused to end. Yet applause tells only part of the story. What it rarely reveals is the long journey required to create those moments. Long before a single stage light flickers on, there are hours of rehearsal that stretch late into the night. Movements are practiced repeatedly until every step feels natural. Vocal lines are refined again and again until each note carries the right emotion. The final performance may last only a few minutes, but the preparation behind it often spans months. For someone like Jungkook, whose reputation for excellence continues to grow with every passing year, the preparation becomes even more demanding. Each new performance is expected to surpass the last. Each appearance becomes another opportunity for the world to measure whether the idol still lives up to the image that millions have built in their minds. This is where the hidden story begins. Because no matter how talented someone may be, the expectation of constant perfection can quietly become one of the most difficult burdens to carry. From the outside, success often looks effortless. Fans see the bright lights, the global recognition, and the powerful performances. But the human experience behind that success is far more complex. Jungkook's journey began long before global fame arrived. As a young trainee entering the competitive world of the Korean music industry, he faced a demanding environment designed to shape aspiring artists into elite performers. Training schedules were intense, and improvement was not optional. Every day required discipline, focus, and the willingness to push beyond comfort. At an age when most people are still discovering who they want to become, Jungkook was already navigating a path that would eventually place him in front of the entire world. The transformation from trainee to global idol did not happen overnight, but when it arrived with incredible force. Bidders grew in popularity. Their influence expanded rapidly. Songs topped charts, tours sold out within minutes, and media outlets around the world began to focus on the group's impact. With that attention came admiration on a scale few artists have ever experienced. But admiration can evolve into expectation, and expectation can quietly become pressure. For Jungkook, the nickname Golden Maknae became both a compliment and a symbol. Fans used it to celebrate his ability to excel in singing, dancing, and performing. The title reflected admiration for his versatility and dedication. Yet the idea of being golden carries an unspoken implication. It suggests that perfection is the standard in reality. No human being can exist with imperfection forever. Behind the applause that follows every performance is a person who experiences fatigue, uncertainty, and the emotional complexity that accompanies any life lived under intense observation. The world may see the idol clearly, but the human being behind that image often exists in a quieter space where cameras rarely reach. This hidden space is where personal reflection happens. T is where an artist asks questions about identity, purpose, and the future. It is where decisions about creative direction are made. It is where moments of vulnerability appear, far away from the roaring crowds that define public life. For global idols like Jungkook, maintaining a connection with fans while protecting personal well-being becomes a delicate balance. Fans provide support, inspiration, and encouragement that fuels artistic motivation. Their voices create the energy that fills concert halls and transforms performances into unforgettable experiences. Yet the scale of that support can also feel overwhelming. Millions of people watch every move, analyze every word, and interpret every expression. Social media amplifies reactions instantly, turning even the smallest moment into global conversation. In such an environment, privacy becomes rare. Even simple moments of daily life can attract attention. The boundaries between public identity and personal existence begin to blur. For someone navigating this reality, learning how to preserve individuality becomes essential. Jungkook has often expressed gratitude toward fans who continue to support his journey. That connection is genuine, and it reflects the deep relationship that has grown between artists and audiences in the modern digital era. But genuine appreciation does not eliminate the emotional weight that accompanies constant visibility. There are moments when the world sees only strength. Moments when the applause is so loud that it seems impossible for anything else to exist. Yet behind that applause is still a human being who must wake up each morning and decide how to move forward in a life. That has become extraordinary beyond imagination. The story that unfolds behind the world's applause is not a story of weakness. It is a story of endurance, growth, and the ongoing search for balance within an environment that rarely slows down. T is the story of someone learning how to exist as both a global symbol and a private individual. And perhaps this is why moments of sincerity resonate so strongly with audiences. When Jungkook speaks openly about his thoughts, when he shares gratitude or reflects on his experiences, the distance between idol and human briefly disappears. In those moments, the world does not see a flawless image. T sees a person who has worked tirelessly to reach extraordinary heights, a person who continues to grow while millions watched, a person who, despite the magnitude of fame surrounding him, remains part of the same human experience shared by everyone else. Behind the applause, behind the flashing lights, behind the endless celebration of talent and success, there is a quieter story unfolding every day. T is a story about dedication and resilience. T is a story about identity and personal growth. And above all, it is a story about the human being standing at the center of the stage, navigating a life that few people on earth will ever fully understand. The world hears the applause clearly, but the story behind that applause is the one that truly reveals who Jungkook is. And when the applause continues night after night, when the echo of cheering crowds becomes almost routine, something unusual begins to happen inside the life of a person standing at the center of that noise. The world may believe that constant admiration automatically creates happiness, but the truth is more complicated than that simple assumption. Applause is powerful, inspiring, and deeply meaningful. Yet it can also create a strange kind of distance between the performer and the world that celebrates him. For someone like Jungkook, whose journey unfolded under the gaze of millions, that distance is not always obvious from the outside. The stage shows energy, confidence, and excitement. Cameras capture the perfect moments. Fans record the performances and share them endlessly across social platforms. The narrative that forms from those images is one of unstoppable success. It is a narrative that highlights achievement while quietly leaving out the quieter chapters that happen away from the spotlight. Behind the roaring stage